What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Chats with the Freak. My name is Emmy, and I am very, very excited for this podcast. I usually don't do pre-recorded intros, but I also don't do usually pre-recorded interviews, so hey. This week I had Jennifer Finch, known as the bassist of L7. She's also a photographer, which you guys will hear all about my rabbit hole-ness that I fell down, but I'm very excited to have her on. It was such a great chat, and I just want to thank Jennifer for coming on. It was one of my favorite interviews so far this year. So I hope you guys enjoy our little chat and stay tuned.
Of course. So I'm very excited to talk to you, and I guess I'm just gonna start with I fell down an Instagram rabbit hole, and that was what made me kind of want to reach out to you. Obviously, I'm a fan of L7, and I'm very familiar with your work with that band, but I did not realize that you were a photographer too, and I thought that was really fucking cool. So I guess that's what I'm going to start talking about, because I read I think it was on your website, you said something about you're more of like a documentation photographer. So I kind of wanted to talk about the different photography that you do.
Oh, that's thank you so much for taking the time to go down that rabbit hole. When I go down rabbit holes, I usually end up with like Huskitude, and I watch huskies howling or running through the snow, and it'll just be for hours. So I'm glad I was at the bottom of someone's rabbit hole. When I was younger, I was part of the punk rock scene in Los Angeles and art scene. And there was kind of a little bit of, I'm not going to say pressure, but kind of an expectation that everyone contributed somehow to the scene in a way. Like if you weren't just a person that went to shows, you were promoted shows, or you helped the band set up, or you did a fanzine, or you did interviews, or you recorded. And I just, I had a camera, and I started taking pictures, and I just started taking photographs of my experience through offstage to onstage, of friends. There's a lot of drug use and sex, and I just started taking a lot of very like Nan Golden style, candid amateur, not amateur in the way of not professional. I was not a retail or commercial photographer. I didn't do it necessarily for fanzines. I just did it for friends that might need photographs. And I just sort of progressed with that attitude. I never thought about being a commercial photographer, a portrait photographer. But lately, in the last couple of years, I've gone back to school. I'm in a trade school right now to examine if I have an interest. I might not have an interest in some kind of retail or commercial photography, and branching into that. My interests more lie in art history, feminism, and visual communication. So if I move on, I'll probably be more in that realm and in art photography. But yeah, so that's my interest. Like, I'm not really a person that's just like, oh, shoot, The Cure are playing, I got to go take a picture. Like, I don't have an interest like that now. My interest is more in currently more in like emotional interests, recovery, just other things. Right. So I'm not out just like, hey, I'll take your band's photo kind of thing.
Right.
I will. If your band needs a photo, I'll take your band photo. But it's more, that's not really where I'm not that great at it. There's way better people that could take a band photo. Or a live photo. Yeah. People love live photos. I don't love it. I find it annoying and difficult and compromising.
Oh, really? Well, that's kind of like what my, when we're not in a pandemic, obviously, that's like what I do, or is live band photography. So
really?
I also dabble in other stuff with like portraits and modeling and different areas like that.
Right.
But I kind of fell into it the same way that you did. I started, it was like in the local scene. I was just like, I wanted to go hang out with my friends, and I was like 16, and I couldn't get into a fucking bar. Like, they weren't letting me in. So I was like, oh, I'm with the band. Here's my camera. And that was how I started like doing band photography.
Right.
It's like, oh, I guess I kind of like this stuff. This is cool.
Yeah, you kind of learn the power of the list, and the photo pass has a lot of power.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have that camera, it's like big dick energy. Like, you just walk in, you're like, oh, hey, what's up? Like,
or big clit energy, as I like to say.
Oh yeah. I like that better. I like that a lot better. My one friend was joking with me at the last show that I shot, because he was like walking a couple feet behind me. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just back here carrying your dick. It's fine.
That's funny.
I was like, sorry, because I was in the full like ego zone. But no, it's cool to be able to be out there with people and be around other creatives, whether they do the same thing as you or not. Obviously, you had different areas that it was in with the music and the photography areas.
Right.
But no, it's cool to be just in that circle and be around people that are creative and to have people contributing in multiple different ways, not just the band on stage or whatever the case is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely my
How have
passion.
how have you adopted in COVID? Are you shooting at home? Are you doing self-portraits?
I've been doing some once the lockdown ended, I started doing some modeling stuff over the summer with helping models get like their portfolio set up and stuff like that. And obviously a safe, socially distant environment with masks and the whole 10 yards. But yeah, no, definitely. It's been a transition. I did work a socially distanced show in Nashville back in November, I think it was, and it was a very weird, it was a weird situation. It was such a weird setting. I'm like, everyone's like sitting like 6 feet apart. I'm like, this is so weird.
And you got to witness it.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. Like it was great to get out. Don't like take me the wrong way on that, but it was so bizarre. I was like, everyone's just like sitting in chairs, just like at a rock show, just watching. I'm like, this is bizarre. And you can't even see people singing along because they have the masks up, and it's like, okay, everybody's being safe, but this is weird.
Yeah, it's interesting. What do you think are we going to come back? When are you going to release this?
The podcast?
Yeah.
Probably this week at some point.
Oh,
probably,
okay, cool.
Probably tomorrow. Yeah, probably tomorrow. But yeah, I think hopefully we'll get out of this I'm hoping, I was saying fall this time last year, so hopefully it'll be fall this time. For real this time. I'm tired of being stuck at home. I'm sure you feel the same.
Are you shooting in a studio?
Yeah.
Do you have a studio?
Yeah, that's actually kind of like where I'm at now.
I want to see it. How big is it?
It's not really that big. It's kind of cluttered right now, but that's a little bit of my stuff. And then I have like my LED lights, different stuff like that. I have some strobe lights that are in my car right now because I have a shoot later tonight. I'm doing it outside in the snow. Wish me luck. East Coast is getting killed with snow right now. So
wow.
Yeah. I've been trying
cool.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep busy to a point, but keep busy safely, and that's I think the name of the game right now.
So, what's your strategy in a small studio when you're shooting inside? What modifiers? What lights?
Usually, honestly, I got these LED panels, and I only have the one that I'm using as my light right now, or I would show you. Those are literally my main things when I'm shooting, like in a studio space of any kind. And I bought them literally for touring purposes. So I could do like promos and stuff because they run on actual battery packs. So I thought that would be really cool to like, and I actually used them a couple times before the shutdown. And they're really convenient, and they have so much light. You can change like it from blues to more of like a tan color and stuff like that. You can add different gels on them to add different colors and stuff like that. I think the biggest thing is just to use your space. I usually use a wide lens when I'm shooting in like smaller spaces, just to make everything look bigger and make my subject look bigger, I guess, or the best that they can.
Right. And then do you shoot fashion?
I want to. I like I said, I got into a couple like modeling, like helping models with their portfolios, but it's been more of just like capturing like them. So like they come with like a style, whether they're in like leather with like a leather jacket, or if they're in like some glammed up like look, you know what I mean? It just kind of depends on like what they want, and usually they handle like kind of the look that they want to add to their portfolio. So I just kind of try to help make that like a reality.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would like to get into doing like actual like fashion stuff, and hopefully once COVID chills out, like that can hopefully be a thing.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, I definitely got into that's been what I've been focusing on since everything's been shut down, since like the documentation stuff like that you're familiar with as well is kind of not really a thing right now. So which definitely sucks. I miss doing that so much though. It's so much fun, and I'm sure you can relate to that, being like at the shows with the camera and stuff like that. Just like, oh, there's people. This is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the energy. I feel like I have no cardio anymore. Like my cardio is just the excitement of being around people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I need my serotonin, please.
Yes, exactly.
No, I totally agree because it's just been crazy because like I was actually telling one of my friends this the other day when shows start back up, I'm gonna feel like such an old lady because I'm not gonna be able to like stand up for more than an hour. I'm gonna be like, I'll be back
Mhm.
up, I'm gonna go take a nap backstage, it's gonna be fine.
Exactly. I'll be in the van
Yeah,
napping,
don't mind me.
playing Nintendo.
Yeah. It's like I don't know how this is gonna work now because like I look at some of the stuff I used to do, like touring and stuff, and I'm like, how did I do that? And it's like
Wow.
that's gonna be crazy going back out from that,
So
coming back.
what was it? Just being at an event all day and all night, or
Yeah. It's just like it's just pretty much like I would work like my day job, obviously, when I first started doing stuff. So I had like some sort of income, and then I would go and drive like 2 hours to work an event for somebody in like
right?
at that time I was living like in the Pittsburgh area. So I would drive out to like Columbus or Cleveland, Ohio and work an event and then come back and be back at work like in 2 hours. And it was just like a never ending cycle of that. So it's definitely something I miss, but like I'm also kind of like, how the hell did I do that? Or being in
Awesome.
the or being in like the van all night, driving from city to city, and it's like, why are we pulling an overnighter? This is stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I started touring probably L7 started touring in 88, and we started with just the summer and then it turned into the next year, like the summer, the fall, and then all the way through for 5 years. It was just continuously in a van driving overnight till about we got a bus in 91 or something. But even that was still play a show, sleep on a bus, wake up somewhere, walk around, play a show, get in a bus. It's like I came off of that really twisted, like in 96. It's just like, what? What?
Yeah, when that stops, because that was pretty much what happened to me when the pandemic hit, because it was like this hard break of like,
Yeah.
I don't have to be at a show tomorrow. Like, I don't need to worry about what city I need to be in. Like, wait, what's going on? And like, obviously, it's different because in a way, but it's still
Hmm.
kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, I need to be at the venue at what time? It's like, wait, there's no show. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Because I was on tour when everything got shut down. Like, I was in the middle of a run, and I'm like, oh, I just go home now? We don't have to go to Pittsburgh tomorrow? What's going on?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
nuts.
uh, so I'm sure that's probably similar to how you felt and in 96 when everything kind of chilled out for you. Just
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah. Well, also I had like re-upped and started going to school. Like I was going to campus every day. And Los Angeles is a destination location where people from all over the world are coming to school, they're coming to events, they're coming to stay here, they're coming to work. So we got hit really hard right from the beginning. Like people were sick, all around us. And
yeah.
it's still kind of, I mean, our numbers are down right now, but it's still kind of sketchy to do stuff here
Hmm.
because it's just like it's not just our community, like you just don't go to the market and see the same people. It's all people from everywhere. So it's like really kind of bizarro still here
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
No, I can't even imagine what it's like in Los Angeles. It sounds like everything's still kind of going crazy over there.
Yeah, yeah, people are still getting sick, and it's weird because we should have a proportion of our population should be vaccinated by now, but I don't
Hmm.
know. And more will be
Yeah.
revealed, I'm sure, in the next 7 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully they'll get these vaccinations out on whatever stance you stand on that, and hopefully stuff starts opening so people can stop getting sick and we can go back to some sort of normalcy in a safe way.
Yeah, exactly. But what do you think? Are people going to go into the pit at
I
Punk
hope.
Rock Bowling in September?
I don't know about September. See, I've said this a couple times and some people have gotten mad at me, but I don't think like the full arena tours will be back this year, but I could see like smaller club shows and like weekend dates kind of coming back, if you know what
Hmm.
I mean. Like some of those like smaller club bands, like maybe in LA, like similar to like the Viper Room or the Whiskey, like clubs like that, I could see having like local bands or like smaller shows and stuff like that, like a reduced capacity. But when it comes to like arena shows, like I know Motley Crue was supposed to do a tour with Def Leppard or something like that. I don't see like that, like I guess height of tours that are in arenas and those big sections, I guess, coming back this year. But that's just my opinion.
Hmm. I actually see like the arena venues coming back faster because they can do some kind of social distancing with screens and do more events. So it isn't just like you're watching a band.
That's true.
Like when we went to go see, I saw Kanye at the Forum right before lockdown, and it kind of had that vibe. Like it was the whole venue was open and there was like seating kind of in between.
That's interesting.
And you kind of watched it more on a screen and you knew something was happening below or behind you because it was in the round.
Yeah. Yeah. And doesn't Kanye have that like levitating stage too that kind of like floats around the crowd?
He did not have it when I saw him. It was kind of the Sunday thing that he was doing, like the church event.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when my friend saw him when he had that levitating stage, and he said that all the fans were just kind of like following the stage around, and I was like, that's kind of cool. But no, I never really thought of it that way, where you can have more of a distance, I guess, in arenas. But I know that I've been seeing like a lot of club shows coming up for some of the bands that I follow and whatever. They've been trying to do smaller venues, but like distanced.
Nice.
Or play the same kind of venues, but like where it's seated and distance. Like the show I went to in Nashville, it was same venue that they usually play, but it was socially distant. Everyone's kind of chilling out, whatever. I think it's a good thing for whatever we can get right now with everything going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I miss museums the most, if I can be honest.
Oh, really?
I'd take museums over live shows right now.
Yeah. What kind of museums do you like going to?
Anything and everything.
I used to be a big history buff when it came to like the Egyptian like exhibits and stuff like that. Like that was where I would like spend all of my time, or in the like Egyptian exhibits. I don't know why.
Ah, neat. Have you been to Europe and seen any of the?
I have not, and I would love to go over there at some point. I'm hoping once everything kind of chills out, I can make my way over there, because I've always, like, since I was a little kid, been obsessed with like Egyptian culture and like all the like architecture and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love Egyptian culture too. Like for the most part, everything was pillaged, right, in the 1800s, and is now in either England or Germany has like the Nefertiti head and the stuff that's kind of considered the alt Egyptian culture, because for a while, like Egyptian culture was really stable for 3,000 years. Everything just looked the same. And then Nefertiti and her husband, I guess, I don't know what, that might not be the right word, but the two reigning rulers were just like, everything's changed. And they just changed all art and all how you view art and what it looks like and what power looks like. And also how, culture looked for about 20 years. And then it all shifted back. So Germany got a lot of the kind of stuff from that particular tomb. And I think it's all going to go back in our lifetime. So I think it would be interesting for people to go see the Rosetta Stone or these different Greek also pieces that were pulled out of their like original intended culture. And then to go back and see all that, it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be really interesting. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I think that there's something to be said for things coming back in everybody's lifetime to a point. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff probably in the next 20 to like 25-ish years. That's going to be once in a lifetime. Unfortunately, a pandemic was one of them, but something I definitely didn't want to experience. None of us did.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, for sure. But I did want to kind of ask you about Smell the Magic obviously turned 30 last year. And I thought that was really cool. And it was a really cool record. And I kind of I guess wanted to touch on that a little bit, because I know that was kind of a big record for L7 when it came out. And I kind of just wanted to like talk to you a little bit about that, like when it came out, like how like the band feel about it, I guess, when the record first came out. And do you guys think it was going to be as big as it was?
I thought it would be bigger. No, it's a record that we're all very proud of. It was our second record. I don't know if you know that. We had a first record on Epitaph Records. And it was really our opportunity that we had grown more as songwriters to be able to like even better express, the ideals and like the heaviness that we wanted to express, and like the dirtiness combined with melody and, you know, shouting combined with singing, and just being able to like bring all of those elements together and to work with the producers that we got to work on that record with. An interesting thing about that record is when we first put it out, it was an EP in 1990. So it contained 6 songs as a short play, you know, extended single. And Sub Pop did not have the money to put it out as a CD. And they told us that they would not put it out as an extended CD unless we gave them additional songs to make it 10, 12 songs. Mm-hmm. So in 91, this year, Smell the Magic came out as an extended. So it is sort of still the anniversary. Yeah. And then now as a re-release, so then it was re-released. I'm just telling the story all over the place. When it was re-released, they wouldn't re-release it as vinyl. Because from 90 to 91, in 90, it was too expensive to put out as a CD. And then 91, it was too expensive to put out to redo as vinyl. So it was never put out as vinyl in the extended until now. Sub Pop has released it as vinyl, the extended version with all the songs.
I'm pretty sure one of my close friends, Core, has just bought that on vinyl. So I kind of vaguely remember him like freaking out that it was finally on vinyl. He was actually the one that reintroduced me to L7. But I obviously was a fan of you guys before that, but he kind of like reintroduced me when he got that vinyl. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So
sweet.
Yeah, that's really rad. That's really rad. He also wanted me to he did have one question that he did want me to ask you, and he wanted to know what your favorite, I guess, L7 record is, if you have one. I know it's like picking your favorite child.
It's impossible to pick, but if I think somebody is new to L7, Smell the Magic is a great entry. Bricks Are Heavy is another great one. I love Live in Osaka. So you can't, and that one's like a bit more heavy, and I don't know. It just depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, how kind of like the variety of heavy, because that was kind of like you guys, I think all of your records have a certain amount of heavy to them, but I think from record to record, it kind of varies on the degree of heavy that L7 kind of got to.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I also wanted to ask you about, so I read, like I said, I kind of fell down a rabbit hole. I was reading a lot, and I read something about how you were doing a lot of networking, obviously, in LA. You kind of touched on that a little bit earlier about the LA scene and stuff like that. And I guess I just wanted to talk about like networking in the music industry, because obviously as a photographer, that's a big thing, is to be able to network and get to know people, not necessarily just for business, but to like just be friends with people and have like commonalities. I guess I just wanted to talk about how you think it's important to network even now in the music industry, because obviously back in like 86, you guys didn't have social media and different stuff like that. So I guess I just want to talk about like how that like networking kind of helped, I guess, get L7 rolling back when you guys started.
Well, that was a lot. That was a long question. Thank you.
That's a very winded question. I had a lot of thoughts going on in my head. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, 99% of everything is truly networking, whether it's social or interpersonal. And I still really feel that there's still like a value in a photographer or a band sending hard copy out, like either postcards or doing like some kind of, which is now like legacy media, looking at legacy media and legacy contact. I still think that that's valuable. I still hear about creative directors getting postcards. And just being like, I got one postcard last month. It's great, and like we're all sharing our postcards that we've received, because I'm a creative director also outside of everything else that everyone kind of publicly sees me do. And, sometimes it's all about just making those contacts, connecting with bands, doing similar stuff. There really isn't that. I feel like that was anything that L7 has now is really from friend contacts, mostly.
Right.
There isn't just like anyone calling us up and saying like, hey, this is Warner Brothers Records, let's do a thing. It's more like, hey, this is John. I got this job at Warner Brothers. Can you believe it? We have this thing up. Let us know, or whatever.
Yeah, it's more like a friend to friend kind of thing more than like
Mhm.
a company reaching out, which I think is more personal. And I always think that's a very important thing to, I guess, build relationships with people rather than just being like, because I feel like there's a lot of people that, yes, while being in the music industry is a business and it is a job, I feel like some people kind of get too serious about it sometimes. And it's like, you guys have to network to a point and and build relationships with people and be, I guess, chill, especially like as a woman in the industry. You could probably relate to that. It's hard sometimes making like connections and networking with people. At
Sure.
least I've discovered that. So I definitely think I think it's a really important thing that a lot of people overlook.
Hmm. Do you think they overlook it? I feel like I've always been inundated with it, or maybe it's just my exposure. I mean, I thought it was so. I started in a community, and the connection in the community was how the community survived. Like, it
Yeah.
was very a direct result of how the community survived. Like, if there wasn't someone to make a flyer, there was no show. Or if there
Mhm.
wasn't someone to take photographs, there'd be no photograph in like whatever the legacy meet local media was. And so I've always seen the importance of community in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe because you're more in Los Angeles, and I feel like maybe Los Angeles is more of a community thing, and I love that. At least in when I was in the like I guess Pittsburgh, Ohio Valley kind of scene over on the East Coast, like there were a lot of people that didn't really see the point in like community. Everyone's kind of being like, "Oh, what's in it for me?" kind of thing. And I don't like people that have that mindset. Like we're all kind of going for the same thing. You know what I mean? And it's
Mm-hmm.
very. I just feel like some people overlook it. They're just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna like throw my music out there and." Hopefully someone will like it. I'm not gonna. Why should I bother to like talk to people? It's like that's I feel like it's some people get douchey with it. You know what I mean?
Mm, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was kind of like reading through. I was like, oh, networking. Okay, I definitely I need to bring that up because I always felt like that was super important for people to like still communicate even now because even though we're always all on our phones and shit like that, like I just feel like some people don't still talk to other people like they're human beings.
Hmm. But there's always been that aspect. I always felt that way about the phone. Like people would just talk on the phone and be so disassociated from the physical aspect of talking that it actually sort of interrupted normal human communication, and actually enjoyed texting when it came out because it kind of forced people to think about what they were going to say.
Yeah.
Of course, that's changed, with the advent of like, I'd say like forum style social media, where all of a sudden like comments just become like an extension of your thought without it being a filter. Um, so it's just whatever. Everything's bad and everything's good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's good and bads in
Yeah,
everything for sure. And I think everybody with social media over the last year with us all being stuck inside has definitely seen that for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I think that's all I have for you today, Jennifer. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with me. I really appreciate
Oh, thank you. I
it.
appreciate